2 streams in 4 days? Is it the apocalypse? No, it's the end of the year, and I was debating pretty heavily between doing a live stream where I got to interact with y'all and just doing an edited video where I kind of talk about my plans for the channel. But, I let my patrons weigh in on future topics and things in the Discord and discussed heavily with them, but why shouldn't you guys be able to share in a little bit of that merriment and chat with us and maybe even make some suggestions of your own for videos that, might be interesting in the future and get to find out about some of the exciting stuff I've got down the pipeline. So welcome. This is kind of me talking about the future of my channel and taking a look at the past 6 months or so since I started it in June, because yes, I've only been around by myself in the community since June 4th. That was when the first video about freaking Bray Bloody Banana Man Comfort deciding that he had the cure for racism happened. Oh, hey, Akeda. Thank you so much. $5 super chat from Akeda Akubi with the Phalanx Fire. Oh, wait, I see you brought your own. Thank you guys so much. I'm seeing a few new faces in the side chat, too, and a few I haven't seen around, so welcome all of you. Some of you I recognize from the Discord as well, which links are in the description below, as always, if you guys want to hang out with the community. Unlike some folks, there is no paywall to get in. You guys do have to get to know the mods a little bit to get into the main server, but that's a pretty small price to pay, I think, compared to, hey, pay me $5 and I get in. But you know what? Snark aside.
Is that seriously a thing people fucking do?
Wisdom of Odin did that.
Another reason to be on my shit list.
Well, if you watch my video on him, you'd know that.
Listen, bitch, I've been medicated.
So, this is Fire, by the way. Chaotic pagan and also wonderful friend and mod on my Discord server who offered to chill with me for a little bit on the live stream when I mentioned that I was going to be talking about what's coming down the pipeline for the channel.
Yeah, I have no life outside of just doing Discord stuff for Ellie, so here I am. Me and my beautiful screen-capped glory.
Is the banging that's going on in your background,
That is, in fact, fireworks. I promise nothing serious is happening that you need to be concerned about.
In other words, your neighbors are crazy, too. Anybody in the chat have family that are going to be setting off fireworks tonight? Allegedly in Minecraft, of course.
Wait, is that not legal?
In many places, it's not. For example, you can, the cops don't generally do anything about it unless you're, stupid and shoot one into a car or something, but you're technically not supposed to let off fireworks in most cities.
That's kind of hilarious, but then again, I come from a state that is known for giving zero shits. Florida. So, Also, my nap was wonderful. It was my 5th one today.
Rothgar, family is of all kinds. I don't live with any of my blood relatives either. I live with 2 partners and a boarder, and we are family. So, do we want to kind of dig in a little bit? Because you know a couple of these things that are coming down the pipeline, because you're one of the people I bounce ideas off of when I get mad about stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about. I came here just an innocent human with no ideas about what's going on. Tell me what's coming up, Allie.
Sure you don't. You didn't have your fingers in both the what is a pagan script or the orthodoxy one. That, you had nothing to do with either of those.
Me, a pot stirrer? Never. I don't actually know what order you want to actually go through stuff, so I was just going to chime in when I had anything relevant or snarky to say.
Interesting. Well, I suppose if that's your plan.
9 times out of 10 when I get invited on a stream, it's to heckle the person doing the actual streaming in the name of entertainment.
So, my hope is that next year I will be able to continue to do at least 1 live stream a week and 1 edited video per week. I am actually going to be launching a series that I'm not sure if it's going to be every month or every other month, but I've been kind of hinting at its existence for a little while. The series Film Crusade is going to be launching next year, and it's basically going to be me taking a look, sometimes with friends from around the community. I've got at least 2 folks that are lined up for the future for potential collabs on various topics. about latent Christianity in media that is not exclusively Christian. I actually have a couple of the topics that I have planned already kind of in the list that I shared with my patrons. One of them, the first episode is going to be Han Solo is an atheist conversion narrative, and that's going to be the intro video for Film Crusade, and I'm going to be talking a bit about like the way that scripts are structured and why certain structures matter between things like, you know, series and such. Another topic is Hereditary and King Paimon, like where that entity comes from historically, where they are, like what is known about them, and like where some of the ideas in the film might have come from. Demonic Possession Then and Now, which is talking about The Exorcist and Pazuzu. Callan and I have actually talked about potentially teaming up for that one, where she'll kind of come on and talk
really
as a
fun.
Sumerian recon about why Pazuzu never would attack children, specifically because of a rivalry he has with another demon. So there's a whole thing like that. The Failures of Midsummer, The Gods as Aliens from Stargate SG-1, and kind of talking about the problems with the various pantheons that they turned into gods, namely the Kemetic pantheon and the heathen one. And the Christian sort of idealism of who survives in the majority of horror movies, and how a lot of that has kind of echoed even into modern horror.
Yes, I apologize for my sniffles. I forgot to mute my mic. I thought I did.
So, Film Crusade, I'm actually really, really excited about. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's something I've actually been planning since before I was on my own channel. Like, it was originally a collaborative series that I was going to be doing on the channel that I worked on prior to starting my own, but it's something that I'm really passionate about. It's going to have a major focus on misrepresented pagan mythology, as well as the way that, like, atheists and pagans are mistreated and misrepresented in media. I might even take it into looking a little bit at written media as well, things like H.P. Lovecraft and the like, and kind of talking about that sort of thing. But it's going to start off primarily with movies and TV shows, especially in the horror genre, because that's where we tend to be screwed with the most.
Honestly, that would be really cool, especially like a lot of newer stuff that's come out too that's like trying to be better but isn't really is something that's like been interesting for me to look into, because I've recently only started getting into horror. So like shit like Midsummer's on my list, because I've specifically am now at the point where I'm like, okay, I can deal with getting wigged out. Now let's go critique everything that's meant to wig me out, that's based off of just cultures people don't understand.
Now, what I will say, and I've had conversation with film buff friends about this, is that as a movie, Midsummer is not terrible. In fact, it's actually really unique in what it does with its premise and the way that it utilizes certain things that are not particularly common to horror films. Like, it reminds me a lot of Korean horror in that it breaks a lot of the rules of horror, but its pagan representation is terrible. And that's something that I'm going to go into, is how you can love a movie. Like, I love Hereditary. I think Hereditary was absolutely fucking brilliant with what it did and the way that it expresses themes so bloody thoroughly through every single shot of the movie, and yet can still majorly screw up when it comes to actual pagan representation.
Yeah, it's one of those of like, sometimes people just don't have the knowledge. Sometimes people use a cop-out with writing, but that doesn't make stuff like the film or creative aspects.
Ocean is one of the people that I talk to about this, though I have ranted at more than one.
Yeah, it's particularly frustrating, but also super satisfying when you do find something that does hit all of the marks, both for the casting and the writing and the film work and all of that kind of stuff. It's just, it makes it special, almost. I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
That's been one of my favorite things now, is critiquing, not just like with horror stuff, the pagan rep definitely, but even just in general, like what different people use as visual and linguistic and all that kind of imagery to get their point across and what they're trying to do and what works, what doesn't, and how much effort they put into it. And some just do amazingly with so little, and some can't do a whole lot with quite a big budget. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and like I'm also like there's a couple of kind of thematic titles that I've got in the works for Film Crusade as well. There's one that I want to take a look at, the shorthand of pagan for primitive, and kind of how those things are conflated and how little representation we see for, you know, outside of something like, say, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you don't often see pagan cultures represented as evolving into the modern day and, say, becoming technologically advanced societies or anything. There's like colonialism that sort of runs through it, and there's also this idea that as a culture gets more and more like technologically advanced, atheism is going to set in or something. And like even Star Trek, I've got a Star Trek video in the works talking about this and how like God belief, even though there are an actual race of gods in one of the Star Trek like series, the Q continuum, even though there are some actual pseudo gods, they equate God belief with primitivism. Hey, look who popped in again.
Oh my god.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Can't prove
Honestly.
Hold
well,
on
guys, prepare for the tech issues.
There we go.
Ocean has brought the gremlins, and there's nothing I can do about it now.
Yeah, I have brought the gremlins, but everything should be working just fine. Like there shouldn't be any issues at all. What?
Oh dear.
Is the blood rushing to your head yet?
Always.
But yeah, like actually Ocean is one of the people that I ranted to about Hereditary, because I was like, this movie is not the most brilliant thing I've ever seen, but it does do some really cool shit, and Ocean agreed with me, and then we were talking about, but the heathen representation needs some fucking work.
Midsummer. It's like that.
Yeah,
Hereditary's
not Hereditary, sorry, no. Hereditary has issues with King Paimon and like the history of that entity that I'm going to be going into.
Because I'm actually unaware of whether or not there are issues there. Because I mean, I figure there might be, because if Midsummer is any indicator, but
yeah. I was doing some research on King Paimon and the entities that he may be based off of, and if my research is anything to go by, the preliminary stuff, it's going to be a very interesting video to dig into.
Okay, cool.
Because, like, I want
like that's an actual symbol thing, I think, that they use in that movie, isn't it? I mean,
there is an actual
Renaissance
symbol.
Witchcraft is not my...
Yeah, there is an actual symbol from, like, an old Renaissance, like, Book of Shadows that they found that is in that movie, and they did their research on that front, but the entity itself may have been from an earlier time.
Oh, I see, that it's
kind of
a Renaissance...
Kind of like Pazuzu, like was a Sumerian deity demon thing. He was a demon, but like what he was represented as in The Exorcist is very far from the Sumerian being, because the Renaissance stuff changed a lot of what he became.
Are we burning rams in the super chats?
We are burning rams in the super chats. Preemptive offering for Makeda Hakubi, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. And Child of Nyx says $5 super chat. I'm late. What I miss? Also, hi. You missed me announcing the new series that's going to be coming to the channel. I'm still debating about whether it's going to be once a month or once every other month. It really depends on how much work, especially because a few of these videos are going to be collaboratives. I've got at least 3 or 4 creators that are at the very least in talks about working with me on a few of these, because it is really important to me, if I'm going to be talking about a tradition, to bring a practitioner of that tradition in, so that it's not just me doing my own research. So Callan and I have discussed it, and she's comfortable with me announcing that, and Suris and I are potentially going to be doing a collaborative as well for the first episode, and he and I have already discussed that. So
I'm curious, with the Star Trek thing, which actual culture are you going to be looking at? Because Star Trek does some really interesting stuff with religion in general across multiple cultures within the franchise. And there's a lot that you can look at.
I watched the original series, and I was even thinking about doing some stuff on the gods representations in Star Trek, because I was like, there was a few of them I was like, oh, that's neat, and then there were a few of them where I was like, and then there's a few of them where I was like, for being anti-religion, there's a lot of non-corporeal life forms.
Yeah, the Q Continuum is the shining example of that. Like, the Q Continuum is basically a set of highly advanced gods that is also kind of like a hive mind, and they can do all of the things you would expect a god to do, and yet there's also this idea that worshiping any sort of entity must make you primitive, and the majority of entities that are worshipped are actually like either fraudulent priests or advanced alien like civilizations. And so I kind of wanted to, I was going to look at a sampling of examples, mostly from the original series, but I might also take a look at TNG as well.
Because I would very much look into Deep Space Nine with the Bajorans.
La la
I,
la la la. I haven't watched Deep Space Nine yet.
it might be.
How dare.
I know. I like. So I did a thing. I'll talk a little
No,
bit about
we
my.
had talked about that.
Yes, I think
A
we
bit
had
ago.
For everybody that's not, I started watching Star Trek, this year. I hadn't really. I'd watched like a little bit of the original series because a friend of mine was like, "You have to see this," and then so I started watching some of the original series. But I didn't really get like committed to watching it until this year, and then I watched through the first two seasons, and it's been an experience. And I definitely want to jump into the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, but I feel like I need to finish the original series first. I know that's because they don't really explore too much from the original series and the subsequent series, but I want to. Damn it! But
no, that's valid.
Because I want to, I want to see like special effects evolution as well. Because I think the third season is the first showing of the Klingon ship, and there's a few other things there.
Something that you will find interesting is when you're going through the series. Also, the special effects makeup specifically. There's some pretty interesting. After you notice the changes in the makeup, you can like go and look on the wiki and stuff because they have like in canon reasons for why their makeup evolved when it was really just yeah. So like there's some stuff with like certain Klingons and all that stuff. Like they came up with entire diseases and shit in canon to try and explain why they got better makeup.
A hybrid breed of Klingon that was in the original series as well. Like I found that to be really interesting because the justification for the Klingons being the kind of culture that they were changed between the original series and the motion picture, and then was further evolved upon in the Next Generation when they were figuring out and what's the movie? I think it's the fourth film with the peace negotiation.
I don't know by name.
But you know what I'm talking about. It's like it's the one that circles around like the peace negotiation between the Klingons and the Federation.
Yeah, and they even bring in like
Undiscovered Country
elements and shit for like why they have like different facial markings and different facial protrusions on the Klingons across the. It's really interesting.
I mean, honestly, Star
and some
Trek
of it's
is
post hoc for makeup mistakes because that's what happens. It's like the real answer to a lot of these questions is budget limitations. But
yes,
But it's interesting to see what the writers do with it also. And like I said, the focus of my series at the very least is going to be primarily on the way in which like not just pagan but also atheistic ideas are represented, and the way that, you know, especially the way that latent Christianity tends to manifest itself. Because even in Star Trek, which positions itself as sort of this futuristic utopian culture, there is still the conquistador sort of saving the savages narrative that runs through the whole thing. Like the Prime Directive you think would fix that, but like every single episode is how did Kirk and or Picard and or insert captain here violate the Prime Directive today?
So you would definitely do good to check out a lot of the stuff around Vulcan culture and religion, because everybody thinks that because they're like super logical, they don't really have a religion.
Super ritualistic.
They have, oh my god, I have a whole spiel on this. You don't want to get me started on this, but there's a fucking religion there that's entirely not God-based, but it's a fucking religion that they consider a religion. And it's like really interesting. So you've got that on one extreme of the spectrum that Star Trek explores, and then you've got the other extreme of the Bajorans with, you know, their wormhole entities and super spiritual whatever, and so that's supposed to be a thing. And so it's really interesting both in how they treat those, but also in like what they try to explore with them. But yeah, those would be good to look at.
So that stuff is definitely coming next year, and I'm also hoping, I have been making my way through the video game Hades. A friend of mine decided to buy it for me, and I'm hoping
how is that?
So far, I'm really enjoying it. A lot of the portrayals of the gods I like. The main plot line I have major problems with, though they do kind of lampshade the way that they played the way that they played with it. So like the personalities of the gods I think are very on point to mythology, except for Hades and Persephone kind of having, as I'm going to harp on in a video, they don't have a broken marriage. God damn it.
That's the sense that I got out of the trailer was the issue that I would have had would have been the portrayal of the underworld as a dangerous or punishment place. That's what it
the
seemed
thing
like was
is
in the
it's
trailer.
actually Platonic or Orphic. It's somewhere between the two. So,
Okay.
like, they see Tartaros as a place where souls are punished, for example, and that's a Platonic idea.
Okay. I had similar problems / excitement, honestly, about Hellblade.
Sinuous sacrifice?
Yes. That there were moments where I was like, okay, this image of the underworld is really cool. And there's other points where I'm like, this image of the underworld isn't like, it was a cool game and I loved the storytelling and the metaphors in it, such that I was like, this is a modern saga. But there were other elements of me that were like, this is not a good, from a religious perspective, it's not a great representation of Helheim.
Well, and I would agree with the majority of that in, like, they kind of made the Elysian Fields kind of like what you described Valhalla to be, like this perpetual competition and fighting between heroes for some reason, which I don't recall being a part of the Platonic idea of what the Elysian Field was. The Elysian Field, depending on which author you're reading, is either just where the heroes got sent after Hesiod's sort of end of the Age of Heroes, or it's where the best of humanity gets sent, according to Platon, or the Orphics, those who have seen the Mysteries of Eleusis get sent to that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about, like, I want to get all of my Afterlife videos out, but that's one of the other things I wanted to talk about was kind of future topics, which you know about a few of these. Mm-hmm. For those of you that are curious, by the way, I have gotten an overwhelming request from the community to look a little deeper into a few things that appear coming from our friend that we referenced a little bit at the beginning of this stream. So I am going to be looking a little deeper into that and potentially doing a follow-up to my last controversial video.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So I'm going to be digging into that a little bit.
Oh.
I don't know if the folks who, like, I don't know if the initial folks who sent me those screenshots are still in the server or how much longer they will be there, like all of them. But I'm going to be digging into as much as I possibly can regarding that. And if there is something there, I will be doing a follow-up video.
That makes sense.
Consider this. Greek gods are cooler. This is my only risk. Listen, if people gonna come in being bitchy, I'm not gonna, like, take the question seriously. That is my answer.
So that is going to be, like, that is something that is potentially coming.
Oh, I see what's going on.
Yeah, don't worry.
I thought you were talking about Greek gods are cooler than, like Norse gods. I was like, what is happening here?
No,
and then
I'm not that mean, I promise.
Yeah, you're seeing Quero or saying, why worship weak gods when you can worship Yahweh the Almighty? And I guess because they, are all about the Trinity, it was said 3 times. Which
and
is
apparently
weird.
they attempted to say it a 4th time, but it just came out as V because they weren't holding control
down. Yeah, they didn't hit Control V.
I should really be, like,
all-powerful
actually
God,
logged in on the YouTube so I can delete shit like that, shouldn't I?
$5 super chat from Akeda Hakubi. Thanks for the mods. Thank you so much, Akeda. You are being so freaking generous. Like, save some money for yourself sometime. Seriously. You were super generous on Monday, too. But I do have a few topics, a couple of which you and I have talked about before, Ocean. I posted a list to my patrons in the Discord, and I'm going to share a few of them that I think that folks are going to be really excited about. I'm going to be taking deeper dives into mythology fairly soon, which a lot of people are excited about, particularly the Hera and Zeus as divine couple. That was a promise I made fairly early on in my channel that has taken me down a deeper rabbit hole than I ever could have imagined. So it's going to be a little bit coming still. There's one resource that I'm hoping once I get out of the current financial situation I'm in, it's the last one I need for that video. But that one is coming, as is the Hades and Persephone as the divine couple as well, and kind of the Persephone as a myth for marriage. But there's a few that you and I have talked about as well. Platonic influence on the New Testament and how you can see Plato all through Paul's letters, especially, and in Revelation. That's one that I'm actually really, really excited to talk about. Homosexuality in Greece, also known as why we don't reconstruct the entire culture.
Oh, always good to know.
Because homosexuality in ancient Greece is a very complicated topic, and because of the myths, a lot of people romanticize it as being far more accepting than it was, but it's actually, like many things, historically complex as hell. And I've been digging deep into that, and thanks to a very generous patron who decided to purchase all 3 of the books that I had on my wish list that I needed for that a few months back, I've been going through those and getting both primary and secondary source information on the way that that was treated.
The most subtle of hints.
$5 super chat on nothing in particular to say. I just want to appreciate your channel and your work. Thank you so much. I am going to be doing a Platonism wine rant part 2, and actually, more Saturday streams are coming. I am hoping to do at least 1 or 2 extra Saturday streams every month on top of my philosophy wine rants that I've been doing with Callan, where I'm going to be bringing in pagan creators, maybe sometimes atheist creators if it's something, a different topic, but things outside of politics that I would like to discuss that are kind of more either on the pagan side or on the allyship side. Since the coalition has sort of transitioned into being more of a political show, I'm probably going to be doing some of my own solo interviews with various people who might be interested in talking about things. The first one is going to be with Celery. She's going to be coming on to talk about what a modern pagan priesthood would look like potentially within Cometicism, and I will be talking about the same from Hellenism and what the pros and cons of that might be and how that would be compared to reconstructing the way that it would have been in ancient culture. So we'll be talking about that. Witchy by Nature, generous $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Y'all have done such a great job this year. I hope you keep growing, Aaliyah Kai, and get your voice more out there. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you so much.
Got some badasses in the chat over here.
Yeah, you guys are being super freaking generous tonight. Thank you guys so much. Like, I know you could be literally anywhere else. There are a ton of people doing New Year streams. I'm just sitting here being like, hey, let me be a narcissist and talk about what I'm going to be doing on my channel. And y'all are here with me, and I appreciate the support. Like, thank you guys so much.
Cometicism is the practice of ancient Egyptian religious praxis. It comes from the word Kemet, which was what they called themselves back in the day. I believe it was something similar to the land of the gods.
It references the land of fertile soil, basically. It was a reference to the black
part. Right.
So I'm also going to be putting out videos fairly soon on like omen interpretation and divination, which will each have their own videos because they're actually slightly different. So I'll be talking about like the way that you can kind of recognize some of the ancient symbols and how you can also start to build catalogs of understanding in your own life for things, because obviously most of the people in my audience don't live in Greece, so you're not going to see exactly the same flora and fauna that the Greeks would interpret as meaning specific things.
Which means you can't practice the religion. I'm sorry. All right, everybody, it's done. Yeah,
sorry,
Pack up
guys.
Your bags, go home, or move. There's only 2 options.
But one of the beautiful things about being a modern pagan is that you don't have a priesthood to tell you that you can't do things. So I'll talk a little bit about ways to build your own sort of personal experience and record things that, turn out to mean something without being overly paranoid. Think of it as a spiritual successor to Ocean's It's Okay Not to Know video. Because it's kind of talking about how you start to develop the discernment that he referred to in that video.
It sounds like a combination between Theophrastus's "Don't be superstitious" and "It's okay not to know," because like the concern of, well, the Greeks in the past didn't do it this way, therefore I can't engage this in my praxis, winds up being not from the harm perspective, but more of the kind of preventing the self from exploring due to the restriction of praxis that Theophrastus was referencing, like directly in that passage, where the superstitious man in Theophrastus's example was somebody who was like obeying the rules of the religion down to the nines, such that every little possible interpretation of culture they seem to jump into in order to be safe. And
the people who will start like flipping the fuck out on you because there's a pair of knives crossed in your kitchen.
Right, it's that kind of thing. But what I think that translates to here is saying that, well, because it's not something that was present in ancient Greece, we can't do it. Don't explore. Don't do anything. It's kind of like the reverse side of that same thought process, I think. Does that make sense?
I feel like that's how you kill a religion from the inside.
Yeah, I kind of took on that idea in my orthodoxy video, didn't I? Like, just because it doesn't have a historical precedent doesn't mean that it's not, like, that doesn't mean that it's not valid. It just means that you shouldn't teach it to somebody else as an essential component of the religion.
Allie, yes, we shouldn't drive cars because the cars aren't in the sagas.
Only the finest steeds.
If the gods meant for us to drive cars, the Vikings would have driven cars and they would have been in the sagas. Same with the Greeks.
Okay, so like
Alexander
how
the Great didn't conquer the world with a
how
Model
many G's
T.
are in your suitcase, Ocean?
I have a piece of black lamb's wool that to wear on my head specifically. No, there's I was trying to think of like one of the few ritual references in the sagas that exist.
I mean, that'd also be like me saying that because you had to veil as somebody who is AFAB in a temple, any AFAB person should automatically veil. There are some people like who in Hellenism choose to do that as a devotional activity, but I don't think it should be a requirement. I'm also going to be doing a video on discernment between figuring out personally what you think is cultural and what you think is religiously significant. My 101 book, which I'm also officially announcing with this stream, we mentioned it at the end of the last one, but most of y'all didn't make it to the end of the last one, let's face it. I'm going to be working on...
I was taken off screen and beaten.
You were dragged by your chair. It was glorious.
Yes.
By the way,
ending of my moments on there is funny if you didn't catch it.
Podcast on the River Styx, $10 super chat, dances cathonically. Thank you so much for your donation, Podcast on the River Styx. You are a newer person in my Discord, and we got a chance to get to know each other a little bit earlier. Thank you so much. So I'm going
to say farewell and take off. I might be streaming on Twitch, except now that I've said that on this channel, I guess I should stream on Twitch a little bit later.
I'm hoping this, like I said at the beginning, it'll probably be about an hour to an hour and a half. I'm trying to keep it on the shorter end because my partners do want to spend the new year with me, like ringing things in. It's still fairly early on the West Coast, but I know that some of y'all are on the East Coast and that it's getting pretty close to midnight. So I want to make sure that if people are doing an actual New Year stream and not just a, jerking off, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing for the next year, come find out, then, go hang out with your favorite YouTuber. Like, if you don't watch Ocean on Twitch, you should. There are so many memes on his channel that get born there, and it's kind of glorious.
Yeah. Straight, like, the ram stick burning, hold on. We have a list.
I am a chronic lurker in that. Like, you never know I'm there, but I'm there sometimes.
There's the support bat, there's Buff Deer, there's the Church of Frog.
Church of Frogo. Who you must tell people of the good news of Church of Frogo, the Hoppin' good news, in fact. The Church of Frogo is like a little place on the Discord now where people come in and play games and speak to each other of the Hoppin' good news of Frogo.
Another $10 super chat from Makeda. So let's keep the party going until midnight. Thank you so much, Makeda.
Like bribed. Is this bribery?
I think this is bribing Ocean because I said that I'm going to be ending my stream fairly early. I'm not going to stay.
So, if you want to head over
I'm
to
not
my
going to stream for 6 hours, but if you guys want to head over there after this, Ocean, you are more than welcome to do a phalanx tag if you want to in the announcements section since you're hanging out.
Should I drop a link to my Twitch in the
sure
chat? I guess
Feel free to drop a link to your Twitch in the chat, and then
if you
want to drop a link to your
for a minute, but. I'll probably go. I'll probably.
When you go live, feel free to announce on my chat too if you want to.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, if you guys are done, when you guys are done here, like I said, I'm going to be probably another half an hour to an hour at most. Go hang out with Ocean for a bit. He has a ton of fun in his Twitch streams. Like, they're really laid back and kind of chill, and it's a different side of Ocean you don't get to see usually when you watch his other live streams like Hammered Out or like when he comes on here and hangs out. It's a different experience, and it's really nice actually. It's more relaxed and the topics kind of drift. It's fun.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a lot of fun on the Twitch streams. I would agree it's a different side. Like, I'm just sitting there playing games and shooting shit. And it's not like, it's definitely got a lower following but it's more. I enjoy doing it because it's just a lot of fun. I just get to chill out and hang out with people, and it's very like low key, low pressure, kind of content. But I also welcome like if people want to pop on and ask questions or something like that, or like throw a topic out there. I'm happy to discuss it because it's what I'm here for, basically. So,
well, they're usually
it's a lot of
smaller
fun.
streams. They're really responsive to the chat too. Like
Yeah,
the few
yeah.
times that I have announced myself as no longer lurking, like we've had some interesting conversations, like between the chat and what was going on the screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to chill, like that would be a really good place to spend your new year if Ocean does decide to end up streaming late.
You know, if there's a game that I've been wanting to play around with and explore, I'll probably throw that on and just play till midnight or something like that. Just have some fun.
Podcast on the River Styx, another $10 super chat. Have fun. Talk to you later in the server. Thank you so much, Podcast, for your support. And Ikeda, another $5. It's Loki. Ha ha. Funny pun. Because I said it was Loki.
It's Loki.
You know, Ikeda.
Puns are bad. I hate puns. Never made a pun in my life. They're terrible.
You don't spend 31 days every year punning it up as a necromancer.
I view it as a punishment.
Oh, God. But thank you so much for hanging out and for having come to the last stream. Like, that was a ton of fun, too. If you guys missed the last stream, you missed a treat. Ocean and Wolf were hanging out physically together and decided to pop in randomly when I was supposed to be solo streaming and troll each other. And we had an hour and a half long conversation about consent in prayer that is, I think, essential viewing at this point, honestly.
Yeah, no, it is.
And leadership in the community. Like, it is well worth paying attention, even though it was not in the title. And I did tag you in the title of that when I edited it, by the way. So.
Oh, cool. Someone says, wait, Ocean does the Nectrober stuff every year? Yes, I do. Ocean the Necromancer. It's like baking necromancy puns. I did it like 3 or 4 years ago or something like that.
You did it last year, too.
Yeah, no, it's like I did it like 3 or 4 years ago, and then since then, like every year, I've just decided to start doing puns, and some of them I repeat year to year, and some of them I try to come up with new ones too. But
also, for those that don't have Discord, Ali and Ocean both have Discords. Why are you not in them? Get a Discord. Their communities are awesome.
Do the Discord.
Go do the Discord.
Yeah, and even if you're not a pagan, my community is an allyship community, so as long as you're not a dick, you are welcome. Like, we have a set of rules, read them, and as long as you don't break them, you should be fine. Also, Ocean is apparently on a CRT.
I am on a CRT now.
But if you are a dick, I will bitch slap you in both servers.
Yes, my mod team is largely shared between the two. Like, there is a different culture between the servers, though. Like... Yeah. It's really interesting, despite the fact that some of the same people are running both of them.
Not too much different, but it is a little different, yeah. I mean, mine's more heathen focused, yours is more allyship focused. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's, like, I think that's really the big difference.
I also have a massive population of Hellenists in my server.
It has way different vibes.
Yeah.
Like, it's really interesting going back and forth between the two, because it's like, all of the same people are here, and yet.
Right. Some people will hang out, we'll switch back and forth between servers for, like, different kinds of conversations or something like that. Sometimes it's kind of fun.
I've also had invasions come from your server where people were all like hanging out in Church of Frago or something, and then they just all showed up in Gen Chat all of a sudden. Yeah.
How do you get to Ocean's server? There's a link in the description of my videos.
Yes. There's also a link to the description in the description of my videos to mine, and we both have very similar filtering mechanisms. There, Ocean has Hadrian's Wall. I have Agate's Gatehouse. You have to get to know the mod team on both servers to get through, but once you do, if you do get let through, it's a heck of a rewarding experience, and regular members do interact with the wall chats, so it's not as though you're going to be lonely while you're in there.
Yeah. And I talk in the wall every once in a while as well. It's like, so it's not like I hide behind it or whatever. So here you go. I'm actually dropping a link to my server in the
Honestly, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when I go on a server and they've got like a whole gatehouse situation like we do, but nobody fucking talks in them. So it's like,
no, I think everybody has access to the wall when everybody jumps in.
Yeah. Like same with the gatehouse. Like everybody, it can sometimes be more active than Gen Chat. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the reason why I haven't joined certain other servers that are like wider in the community, because you got to sit and wait in the gatehouse and let the mods get to know you, but nobody ever talks there, so the mods can't get to know you. And it's like, what is the point of all of this. So yeah, that's definitely not a thing with y'all's.
Yeah, we have made a very concerted
In the
effort
wall
to
or
make sure
at
that's
the
not
wall?
the case.
The answer is yes, I guess.
Well, I mean, at least I can say in the gatehouse pretty comfortably, because the gatehouse is very clearly a physical building. Well, the thing is if you ended up in the wall, we probably didn't like you.
Let's see. Oceans
As
is the
opposed to
best for
at the
ragging
wall.
on Christians. Allie's is the best because the chat is
The
on
adult
Allie's
chat
is
and
all-
Ellie's
is
is fire.
Oh, the adult. Oh, Jesus.
My adult chat. Okay, so my adult chat pornography is not allowed on my server at all. 100%. Like if it's nude, it does not belong there. But there are some very, very entertaining, not safe for work discussions there in terms of like not safe for work quotes and shit. That is just, if you are 18 plus, you're missing out if you're not in that space. I'm just saying.
On that note, I'm gonna head out, y'all.
All right.
I'll see you guys later.
Under the wall.
But yeah, I'll under the wall. Yes, that's what's going on. But anywho, I guess I'll see you guys on Twitch. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna play or whatever. So I'll see you guys around. And thanks, Allie, for having me on.
Oh, thanks for coming by.
All right, I'll see y'all.
Have a good one.
Yeah, your adult chat is something else. I have to, my primary partner is not Ellie's server, and so I occasionally just have to like steal pictures from there just to send out of context.
Oh my god, the adult meme section is just like it's to die for.
Glorious.
It is glorious. It is absolutely glorious. So, also, my server, once you get through the gatehouse, has the finest collection of memes that you will find online. Like, the taste of my server members, we have people who make, like, freaking Xenia-related, like, actual, like, the server-related, like, GIFs, and it is, and memes. It is glorious.
Did you ever get to see my, photoshopped, raw comedic god meme? Because if not, I'm gonna have to send that to you. Give me like 5 seconds to find it on my hard drive, because I think you'll appreciate it.
So, Cassandra, the only nudity that is allowed anywhere in the server is ancient Greek art of gods and heroes, but not naked modern versions and modern art. So, like, if it is an ancient statue, in fact, there's a running joke that as soon as I say is going to end up in some chat somewhere from Comrade, if they're around to hear this, which is Hail Priapos. But that like divine nudity in ancient artwork is the only nudity allowed on the server, and it's only allowed in certain spaces. River, it takes as long as it takes for a mod to decide to sponsor you. We have a completely democratic, or mostly 99% democratic system in the bridge, which is basically we collectively decide when somebody gets through.
If you throw up red flags, or if you're not talking a lot, or, you know, if there's like something that's causing us to go like, gotta keep an eye on that one, you're not getting through. But we will talk to you and try and figure that out as quick as we can, because we want people to get through. Fucking hell, Comrade.
Yep, Comrade was there. Comrade heard it. There will be a barrage somewhere in the server at some point. Thank you, Jail, so much. $5 super tap from Jail. Wishing you both the best new year. Thank you so much. But as far as getting to know you, it is not a hard and fast process. Some people get in faster than others because we interact with them more. Some people contribute very deeply to meaningful discussions and things and end up getting in because of that. Some people are already known by somebody in the server to have come from another one and they get in earlier because of that. Some people, there's red flags kind of early and they end up getting watched for a little while. Currently, however, people that are in the gatehouse that have not been there already for quite some time, anybody who joined after my last 2 videos or so prior to the live stream on Monday, you guys are going to be taking a little bit longer than normal just because we had some pretty nasty backlash from my What is a Pagan and from my video on everybody's favorite super spreader. And so because of that, we are taking extra caution to make sure that our community stays safe, and we're making sure that we give people enough time to actually show us whether or not they want to be a part of our community and will be a healthy part of our community, because our mod team takes this seriously. And we've had invasions from other servers and other places before, when I did the video on folkism and again when I did the video on anti-theism. In fact, we still get people that are angry about the video, about both of those videos, who will come into the gatehouse and cause problems from time to time. So, like, community safety is of the utmost concern, and we want to make sure that anybody that we let through into the main server, we have a lot of vulnerable people. We want to protect our community.
It is an unfortunate side effect that we might have to have some people take a little bit longer, but in the long run, it is for the benefit of everyone else. So if you're going to pitch a fit about it, you might not be the kind of people we want to let through anyway.
Yeah, so just so you know, it has nothing to do with any single person personally. This is just us trying to make sure that because we have a upwards of 400 people community at this point, we want to make sure that everybody in that community is safe and taken care of. Like, that's why the gatehouse was put in the first place, and I have certainly seen the justification for it since.
Yeah.
And
What a
Priapos
time.
has made his appearance in Discord Gen Chat.
Hail.
All hail. So, coming back
Also
to...
check your DMs, because I need you to see this.
Wow.
I posted it ages ago and did not get enough.
That is glorious.
I don't feel like it got enough attention when I posted it.
That is glorious.
You're welcome.
There is much divine pre-epic imagery currently in my Gen Chat.
Oh my god, it's in the gatehouse too.
Oh god.
God damn it.
Well, at least the gatehouse humans get to be included. So again, it is nothing personal for you guys. We're just trying to make extra, careful to make sure that any folks who might, not necessarily have the best intentions on the server do not get through to harm other folks that are already here. That doesn't mean that any one of you is particularly under suspicion. It just means that, especially because we got an influx of new people, there's so many of you that it's going to take a little bit of time to meaningfully get to know you. And I would rather the mod team know you a little bit and have you come through as somebody who has gotten to know our server a little bit to even see if you feel like it's a good fit, rather than just kind of rushing people through. You know what I mean?
So for those that are not aware, we have a little section. If you've ever been on Discord, you can group channels together. We got a section called Hecate's Gatehouse. We got a general chat, a voice chat, some bot commands, and an introduce yourself channel. Just for those that aren't super aware of what stuff is. But yeah, you're just don't have access to all the channels until we're yeah, this person be chill.
Well, and on top of it, if you want the best chances of getting through the gatehouse, make sure you read through the rules and grab the required roles that are outlined in the rules, as well as putting in a introduction in the Introduce Yourself channel. We don't really have super strong guidelines for what you put there. It's entirely up to you what you decide to share. But those things, plus chatting in the gatehouse general chat, will all give you the best chance of getting to know us a little bit and coming through.
I will say, just a little TLDR as one of the mods. If I have to remind you about one of the rules, one of your first days on the server, you've already done your introduction, grab some rules, and then it's something like putting NSFW stuff in the chat, you're on my shit list. I'm sorry. That's your own doing at that point. Please, just don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. That's it. PSA.
Coming back to kind of future topics, because that was some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. We are going to be, as I said, I'm going to be doing Saturday streams more often, maybe 1 or 2 extra per month at around the same time that I usually do the Coalition, which would be Thursdays, usually at 7:30. Or not Thursdays, Mondays at 7:30 PST, 10:30 EST. I usually do my premieres at 6 o'clock PST, 9 o'clock EST, which is going to continue for next year. There is a Patreon stretch goal. If I hit that, then I'm going to move to doing 2 videos per week, but I will not be charging patrons for the extra one. I have a commitment to my patrons that I only charge per 1 video per week, and that will continue. But if I get to the point where I'm able to devote more time to that and less time to my side hustle and such, then I would be very excited to get to start doing 2 edited videos per week. That said, Patreon bonus video is coming up. It might be a little bit late because I'm having a hard time finding time to record because the guys are home because, vacation, all that stuff. So it's going to be on Dionysia. I'm going to briefly talk about rural Dionysia, and I will be talking primarily about city Dionysia because, Athens, Athenian Reconstructionist. Ikeda, thank you so much. Another $5 super chat. Hail Priapos. In Akkadian, Burku means lightning and is also a slang term for boy parts. That is good to know.
Fun fact of the night.
That fun fact of the night. So, coming back to actual topics, I'm going to be doing a little bit of theological exploration going into next year as I start to work on the Common Hellenism book, which I am not going to promise will be finished or come out next year. I'm not sure what the timetable on it's going to be, but I am beginning development on it. I'm also going to potentially be doing rituals both sometimes in the hold when Wolf and I decide that it would be a good time, but also sometimes in the Allied Hellenism server that, for those of you who are past the wall, can find in the Allied servers section. I have talked with the mod team on that server, and we have discussed the fact that I may be able to test out the rituals that I'm going to be writing for that book. My goal for the book is going to be to have rituals pre-made and written for the majority of the primary festivals celebrated by Athens. So the larger festivals that most, like the months are named after, as well as a few of the ones that the months might not be named after, but they are still a big deal, like Panathenaia. So that is going to be going on throughout the course of next year. Stay tuned in the announcement sections for both servers for when those are happening. The Hellenism section in particular is going to have announcements when I'm doing it on the Allied server. So if you guys want to join for those sorts of things, that is coming next year. I'm also going to be tackling comedy and tragedy in the theological dialogue, basically how playwriting and such shaped the average Hellenist's view of their gods, because there's a pretty compelling argument to be said that myth, as well as practice, as well as the, state religion and comedy and tragedy, like the plays and such that the common person could go see, all shaped the common person's view of the gods together. That it wasn't just a philosophical dialogue that was going on between philosophers. It was also an ongoing dialogue that encompassed so many different aspects of the person's life. So those are going to be going in
which
at some point.
I assume will also be done as videos in your Common Hellenism playlist.
Correct. The Common Hellenism playlist is going to be getting expanded quite a lot. I also, however, am planning on doing some more, some political stuff going into the future. People have been asking me to make a video for quite some time about co-ops and the such, and why those are important, and how they function compared to like traditional businesses. That's something that's probably going to come up. I'm also planning on making an official "This is how you identify propaganda" video, because a lot of you guys really liked the one I did on J.K. Rowling's letter, and so I'm going to be doing a follow-up that is just a 101 that you can kind of use, like the how to research history and how to read mythology videos.
That'll be really good.
I'm also going to do a video where I do my best to rank the various 101 books that are currently on the market for Hellenism that I'm aware of and or own. So if you guys have recommendations for a book that I might not already own, feel free to drop those in the Discord and tag me. The ones that I currently have are Komos and Charis by Sarah Kate Istra Winter, and I have major problems with both of those, so don't at me. I have issues with them. I have Chris Aldrich's Hellenism book, Hellenismos. I have the Llewellyn Hellenismos, which is primarily on magic, and I have issues with that too. I have the Labrys book, which is the one that I can wholeheartedly recommend to folks. And there is one other.
Old Stones, New Temples.
Old Stones, New Temples is nearly impossible to find. I think I've got the PDF for it.
Yeah, I was gonna. If you don't have a PDF for it, I can show you where you can get one. Because Book Dragon.
Well, if you would like to, show me where one may be located potentially, considering that book has been out of print and therefore there is absolutely no problem with me happening to locate it accidentally, then perhaps that will happen. But I'm going to be talking about some of the issues that I have with several of those books and which of them I would recommend, if any. I'm also going to be doing a separate video on affordable books that I think are key, that are scholarly and readable for somebody who's getting started in the religion. So things like I've recommended Smoke Signals from the Gods by F.S. Neiden for people that are really interested in offerings, because it is actually very, very readable for a scholarly book and takes the Hellenic perspective into account when talking about offerings, which is not typical of scholarly works on ancient religion. So that's going to be a video that is also upcoming. Things that are, you know, by affordable, I mean $100 or under, because even though that's not the most affordable thing, when you're looking at scholarly works, when the average opening price is $200 to $250 because they're selling to institutions, not people, under $100 is affordable as far as that goes. Like, we're not talking about your average book where like $20 is what to expect. Unfortunately, scholarly resources are expensive.
And this is why I'm ever so excited for when your book comes out, because not only will it be much more readable, but it's not going to cost, you know, my kidneys.
So Jail, that is actually also coming next year. I am working on an expose on how Llewellyn is kind of the source of the majority of the feedback loop that is Fluffy Bunny problems and like pseudoscience. That is, as a single publishing entity, they're responsible for the utter lack of research that goes into a lot of pagan things that have very little historical backing and sometimes are quite dangerous. Like, they've published books that suggest that crystals can heal your cancer. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the incredible business that is.
Which is really sad, because they also have some pretty good sources, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Morgan Daimler's got a book with the Fairy Faith that is really good from them. And it's just like, oh, but it's Llewellyn.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to be taking a look into Llewellyn as a publisher and kind of digging some of that up. I'm also going to be, and I'm not going to promise that I'm going to get all of the major holidays this year, but I'm going to try to publish various video essays on different Hellenic holidays from Athens. Again, I'm in the Athenian Recon, so these holidays are going to be with the Athenian calendar as best we understand it. Mine is slightly different than the ones that Hellenian uses, but I highly recommend their calendar if you want one that's already pre-formatted. Hellenian as an organization has some problems, but their calendars and their like resources online are pretty decent. And the calendar is very, very accessible, and they have a PDF that they publish each year of that year's calendar that is very, very useful. So I'm going to be trying to, as close to the date that I tend to celebrate certain holidays. For example, Poseidea, I like celebrate on the winter solstice because there's evidence that it was celebrated in Athens on that day. I will be trying to publish edited videos very close to, if not on the day when it falls on a Thursday, for those holidays, so that you all have a little bit of time to get your offerings together and potentially practice if you happen to be interested in Hellenic Recon. So that's going to be coming to the Common Hellenism series. I'm not sure if I'm going to give them their own videos also. But for those of you who have been missing out on my Christians Are Weird series, boy, do I have some fun for you. Yahweh is a Trickster Deity is coming next year. Yep.
Oh, that's going to be good. Also, hello to Wolf in chat.
Hey, Wolf, welcome to the chat and to my announcements of what I'm planning on doing for next year so that my audience can perpetually nag me for whatever favorite topic I happen to mention.
Also, Callan, you thought we are not getting Allie into Spartan's shit.
Here's another fun one that I know you're going to be interested in. Hell is Stockholm Syndrome. Evangelical Christians don't have a praxis.
Hey, Allie. You're gonna let me help, right?
Of course. Fire is one of my go-tos when it comes to any mental health stuff, because although I took some classes when I was in school on the topic, Fire is currently taking some classes on the topic, and so therefore
Yeah, I'm slightly knee deep in the field. Just a bit. You know, I might have a thesis in it, but you know.
And then one of the piece de resistance are the heroes of Greece, the Nephilim.
Okay. I gotta share a book series with you if you haven't seen it yet. But
I'm gonna be digging
things that I need to send you.
I'm also going to be digging a little more into Woowoo. I've had a few folks ask me to do the video on essential oils and how they are causing certain species, particularly things like frankincense, to go extinct. I mentioned that briefly in my video on like on offerings. But I'm planning on actually doing an expose, not just on the shady business practices associated with them, because a lot of people have covered they don't actually heal cancer. They don't, here's the MLM shit. I'm going to be digging a little bit into the environmental destruction that the essential oil industry has caused, because that's my interest. And that's something I don't see talked about near as much.
That'll be really good. Because, yeah, you're right. You don't see any of that crap. When you do that, would you consider like putting out, or I'll even like, if you want to outsource, like finding some companies that are doing more ethically sourced, whatever?
Well, it's more that there are certain oils that are more likely to be ethically sourced, and then there's also the ability to get the artificial oils where they can manufacture the same scent, but it's not being extracted from the plants. So I'm going to talk a little bit about alternatives and which oils are safer and which ones are not, and also a little bit about there are certain oils that can make your pets very sick and certain ways of diffusing them that are safer than others, and I'll be talking about that too.
That'll be really good. As well as just like skin testing, because I feel like that's not talked about.
Don't rub them on your skin.
Yeah.
Just don't. Like, lavender oil will straight up burn your goddamn skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll also poison your cat.
I did not know that one.
Yep, if you put it in one of those wall diffusers, lavender oil can straight up poison your cat. Not like, however, if you put them in a candle diffuser, it won't. It has to do with evaporating. Okay, so for chemistry terms, for all you chemistry nerds, it's the difference between evaporating an ester. It's the difference between evaporating an ester and versus aerosolizing microdroplets.
I hate that I understand that.
Yep. So for those of you who did not understand that, I will give a much more layman's explanation on in the video itself when that comes out. So again, whatever your favorite topic that you hear me mention is, don't worry, I have an actual list where I'm tracking all of the things that I have talked about, because I also got feedback from my patrons in my patron chat on my Discord. Ikeda Hakubi, thank you for your $5 super chat. Yes, do the hell video, please. That is one that I've been hinting at for the past 6 months since I started my channel. I've finally gotten enough Hellenic content out there that I'm confident enough to start going back to the Christians Are Weird series, but I want to make sure that I'm kind of balancing out between my Christians Are Weird, my high quality Hellenic content, the political stuff, my live streams. That it's a balancing act as a creator when you only get one video a week. What do I spend that time on? Right? Like, there's been a couple times where I announced one video and then something happened in the community and I felt like I had to weigh in. Like the Wisdom of Odin video and the one on What is a Pagan, because I've been seeing a lot of gatekeeping and stuff like that. So this is why when I announce videos, it's a fluid schedule. The videos are eventually going to get made. I am going to be doing one on setting up your first altar, and I will be doing one on votive offerings as well. Those guys are coming up as far as the Hellenic practice section goes.
I'll start pulling articles for the Hell video. I'm now, just when I'm going through stuff, I'm just going to start grabbing them now that I know you're looking for shit.
So these are all different things. Like, I have a massive list that will keep me, with content at one a week for several years to come. And again, as you guys know, sometimes I get mad and put out an extra video just because I can. And also, every month you get that Patreon bonus video, and you never know whose name is going to be drawn and what they're going to pick. For those of you who don't know about the patron bonus video because you're new, any of my $10 and up patrons that contribute at least twice a month, because I charge per video, so I charge 4 times a month exactly. I do not charge for the patrons bonus videos, and if it's a 5 Thursday month, I don't charge extra. They get put into a drawing to pick a topic for the month. And I do my best to get it out by the end of the month. This month, I'm going to be a little bit late. Last month, I was a little bit late. The topic this month, as I said, was Dionysia. How to research history was the topic for last month. Or the month before last, rather. And let me think, what was the first one? Oh yeah, who was Athena's father? How do you deal with mythic contradiction? That was one of the Patreon bonus videos. So, those, I have no clue what my patrons are going to pick when they get their names drawn. We've had an influx of new patrons. Thank you and welcome all of you, by the way. And a few of them are in the upper tiers. So, I do pull people's name out of the hat once you've been drawn the first time, and they don't get put back into the hat until I've gone through all of the patrons. Your name will also not be drawn the first month that you sign up, just because I need to make sure that the charge actually goes through, because, you know, if you got people that have been paying for months and months to potentially get access to this benefit, and the charge doesn't go through at the end of the month, that's kind of unfair to them. So, like, that's not a money grubbing thing from me. That's just trying to also be fair and transparent with where the money is going. Because of the influx of new patrons, it's looking like I may very well be financially stable enough to cover my bills and the cost of the channel without having to worry too much about income from like AdSense and stuff from YouTube, which takes a huge load off of me and allows me to focus more on my research and stuff and not like freaking the hell out about where my money's going to come from until my partner gets a new job. So thank you guys again so much for that. Up until this month, it has gone straight to the channel every time, but I'm trying to be completely transparent about where things are happening now. And as soon as he gets a job again, you all will be the first to know, and then I will make an announcement on the channel again, because I want you guys to be completely transparent about why that's happening. Which reminds me, a few of you are waiting for the coalition and when the announcement on that is going to be. We are coming back on the 14th, and we're going to be talking about the stimulus package, the pork in the stimulus bill, and what's kind of going on around that. So look forward to that. That's going to be fun. There are personal things going on the 4th for Jen, so she wanted to put things off for one more week. So you guys are getting another solo stream from me on the 4th, and I'm not really sure what that's going to be on. I'm sure that folks are going to give me a topic by the time it rolls around, because that's what's happened the last 3 times I've decided I wanted to do a solo stream. But expect that on the 4th, so we will see you back on the new year for that one.
Clearly, we should be doing shots with Comrade for their birthday.
Happy birthday, Comrade, 2.5 weeks early. So the other themes that I'm going to be looking at, I'm going to be looking at Ares and such in war. I'm planning on doing the video on Heracles because I got such a strong response in the comments that you guys would like me to take a look at the breadth of his mythos. So that is coming up, as well as more videos on various heroes and like what they were worshipped for. Those are going to be coming up. I've got a heck of
Hero
a
cultist
list.
is fucking interesting. TBH.
Hero
like,
cult is fascinating.
I'm not big on it. Like, I don't... Hey, let's be honest. I have a hard time even just working with deities, but, like, hero cultist is interesting. And,
So,
yeah,
there's another one
that's it. That's all I had.
There's another one that has been long awaited, and it's probably going to cause a dumpster fire, because I'm rather fond of a particular set of monographs that challenge some of the status quo and kind of tipped scholarship over a little bit about what precisely this was. But there's a video called Ancient New Age, What is Orphism? And that's going to be coming up next year. I'm going to be taking a look at the work of Radcliffe Emmons II. He is an expert in the Hellenic classics. He's if I recall correctly, a PhD who has also written books on magic. Fire, the book that gave that definition of magic that I recommended to you, that was the same author. He looks at primarily outside of normative religious practice, and he did 2 incredible monographs on ancient Orphism. One of them was redefining ancient Orphism, and the other one was the Orphic Gold Tablets, and I have been making my way through those for the last couple of months and agree with a lot of what was said there and a lot of his critiques of other scholars' work. So I'm going to be talking a lot about that and a lot about what the previous beliefs were on what Orphism is and what that ultimately means for folks who want to follow that particular tradition in the modern day, because I'm not going to knock what you're doing, but I'm going to talk a bit about why I'm not going to. So that's going to be fun.
Also, I hope you're pleased with yourself. There's still pre-post stuff going on in the server.
Hail Priapos.
God damn it. God damn it. In like multiple channels.
Hey, you know what? There's no reason that the Xenoi should not be allowed to enjoy the glory that is Priapos.
Yeah. It's,
Comrade.
you know.
Enough said. Anyway, complete and utter terrible, terrible gutter human, like gutter humor.
I am a gutter human
aside,
as well. I am
as
a
am
creature of
I.
the void.
Comrade is not a gutter human. I am a gutter human. No, like complete utter chaos in everywhere aside. I'm trying to think of a couple more that people were really interested on. So for those of you who have ever heard me do my theology rants, the theogony and the family structure of the gods, and theogony and the succession of reproductive rights, the two that you guys have heard me do the most, those are coming in video form fairly soon. I'm going to be exploring the scholarship work that has been done, as well as my own studies into Greek theology about what the coherent theology was between Hesiod and Homer and how many things they agreed on, and what the traits of the gods that we can infer from those things are, and how much of that came from Greek culture versus what we were supposed to inform us on the gods. I'm going to make it very clear that much of this is a combination of scholarship and my own opinion, and that you should definitely explore the material yourself and come to your own conclusions. And I also point to my How to Read Mythology Like an Ancient Greek video for how to do that without bias, just to try to confirm mine or deny them or whatever else it is. But I will be talking a little bit more about that in video form in my theology series that is coming up. So those of you that have been curious when I talk about my theology, what is it exactly that I believe? I'm going to be explaining that in video format this coming year. Fire, I know that you've kind of heard a few of those.
A few of what?
The rants on theology from Hesiod stuff.
I mean, given that first we started out with arguing about the atheo-pagan thing, or rather emphatically discussing, shall we say.
I was about to say, we were never really in disagreement. We were just like talking past each other for a hot minute and then figured that out.
Yeah. So that was a thing. So yeah, like in the midst of that, we've actually gotten pretty into that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also talked a little bit about some of the Haida stuff, which has been really interesting. But I know that's not going to be like content that you do on your channel.
Yeah, I'm not planning on doing Haida stuff on my channel. I am planning on Thanksgiving next year trying to do a Native American history of Thanksgiving based on some of the work of not Dick Douche, David Silverman, because not she doesn't want your Dick David Silverman from the atheist community, but the David Silverman that is a fellow of history who studies Native American studies at George Washington University, who wrote a book called This Land is Their Land. Ikeda Hakubi was generous enough to pick that up for me, and so I'm going to be studying that along with some own voices from the Native community, from the Wampanoag tribes, and a few of the others that were there where the settlers landed. And I'll be talking a little bit about the extended contact that existed before the Mayflower and how the first contact narrative is kind of a problem, and also a lot of the issues for Thanksgiving. So you're not just going to get a Thanksgiving rant from me, you're also going to be getting an actual edited video as well, kind of being a lot more concise.
Honestly, I have a thing that might be interesting to at least mention in that, possibly, maybe. Took a medical anthropology thing recently that did a whole long spiel on like how culture shapes diseases and all of that stuff, but it had a really interesting section on like when Europeans started coming over to the Americas and like all the stuff around. It was really interesting. But I think that with like how the narrative goes with that is really it's something.
So yeah, the reason for me not doing Haida content is not because I don't feel like I have a legitimate ability to or enough knowledge to. It's not that I don't feel that way. It's more that there is a debate within the Native community about whether or not, even if you've inherited parts of the culture, can speak part of the language, have the blood, if you're not registered with the tribe, which I can't be for reasons I've talked about on the channel before, go dig through my live streams if you want to hear about them. Then there are many natives who do not feel you are a part of the tribe. If you're not enrolled, then you do not have a claim to that identity, which is why I often refer to myself as having Haida ancestry or as having Native ancestry. I often will refer to myself as Native American, but it's very rare to hear me call myself Haida. And the reason for that is that there are people within my own tribe who would deny me that identity. So I don't want to deny an own voice, like, say, Haida Life, the ability to talk about that from the perspective of somebody who lives on a reservation, as opposed to somebody who was educated to a certain extent for the first X amount of years of their life by family, and after that family died, hasn't had as much exposure to that, like, continued exposure to that culture. There's a lot of remnants of it in the way that my family operates, but a lot of my family is starting to westernize. And so, again, I'm in this bizarre sort of place with my identity there where I'm not necessarily sure if it would be the best idea for me to be talking about that on my channel, even though it's something that I'm deeply, deeply passionate about. So I'm going to be heading off. It looks like Ocean's going to be starting his stream as well, so it looks like it's going to be pretty decent timing. Before I do, though, before I close out, because I know that a few of you probably, like, immediately clicked off, but for those of you that are still here, does anybody have any questions or suggestions on topics that you're interested in? Is there anything you're really excited about that you want to kind of let me know you're excited about? Let me know in the live chat, or if you're watching this on the playback, drop that into the comments and let me know which of those topics you are most excited about. Let me know if there's something that I missed that you remember me mentioning at some point in a video that somehow didn't make it onto the list. Like, I would love to hear from you guys. Fire, which one are you the most excited about?
Oh, probably any of the ones I could actually help you research on, because it's really, really fun getting to help research.
Hella's Stockholm Syndrome.
I mean, honestly, kind of, maybe, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to talk about how Stockholm Syndrome is, like, a sexist stereotype and not an actual thing, and then I'm going to talk about, but if it were real, let's go ahead and talk about how manipulative this is.
Well, like, you know, there's a lot of interesting things you can go into there. Like, you've got, sorry, I'm on meds. Attenuation is, I think, the term I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there's so many things that you can go into that it's like, no, not really, but also yes, kind of. And yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of things to pull for you, reading wise.
Generous $20 super chat from Makeda Hakubi. Dang it, dude. Like, don't bankrupt yourself. Thank you so much for your support, but damn. Good luck with the new job for your partner. Thank you so much. He's been putting in applications, like, since after Christmas, because he wanted to wait until after that particular holiday to make sure that it wasn't weird that he was suddenly, like, some managers would be like, there's an application coming in on Christmas. This person must not be a person of the Lord, which, you know, my house is unabashedly pagan, but still, there's a thing to be said about that.
This is not of the Lord. Ah, yes, because the Lord was definitely born in December.
Athenian Olympics in ancient times. So that is a topic that is gigantic and also probably going to be a little bit further down because it's more of a culture topic than a religious topic. And I'm trying really hard to focus on, like, useful, practical content. Like, you know, a video on a holiday is something that a practitioner can watch and then take home what I say toward the end and try out something in their praxis. You know what I mean? Like, it might even inspire somebody to try out something new in their praxis. Like, that's kind of what I'm focusing on. Which, there's one other video I forgot to mention. Devotional activities. I'm going to be doing one on devotional activities. That is another video that is planned in the future. Talking about devotional activities in lieu of offerings, giving examples of some of the ones that I've done, and kind of, it's going to come after a video on inner purity, like the idea of what the proper attitude for worship is, which there is actually a strong history for. I've got an entire monograph on it. I found a few other studies that talk about it, papers and such in various classical journals. But after that video, I'm going to be talking about how to change something that you are doing, like that is a hobby, or, you know, even something that's required, like cooking, and, like, transform it into a devotional activity.
Honestly, that has me more excited than the Stockholm video, just because that's something that I struggle with a fair bit with my praxis, and I am in the broom closet, so, like, that would be the best way for me to practice. But yeah, like, that'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to that.
Rilla, I would love to consult you on doing praxis modifications for disabilities. That would be an amazing topic that we could do together. I've talked a little bit about praxis modifications in my prayer video, as well as in the offering video for disabilities and also spoon management, but I think a whole video just addressing that topic might be really, really good. Dr. Dino, yes, there is a video on the monthly calendar that is in the works. I'm just still acquiring a lot of the primary sources that I reference for that. So I want to make sure that that ends up, like, I want to make sure I've got all of my materials in hand for that video before I take it on, rather than just taking other people's words for what that calendar is.
So I do have a question on the calendar one, just because calendars are weird. I know you said you'd be going through like a date by date thing. But once you get a calendar worked out that you will be trying to emulate, would you like make that public on the server or something as like an extra resource in the Recon Resources channel or something?
More than likely, once I get one put together, I was actually thinking about trying to program a Google Calendar for it so that folks can get notifications for the holy days, but that's a project that I'm going to need some assistance for, and I need to wait until we're in a better financial state so that I might be able to help hire somebody to get all of that set up. Not because, it's going to take so much to program a Google Calendar, but because programming a Google Calendar that literally changes year to year actually will take quite a lot of time.
Yeah. On the one hand, I want to raise my hand and be like, I'll do it. On the other hand, I have a lot of school shit to do, hon.
$10 super chat from Child of Nyx 13. Thank you so much, Child of Nyx. I eagerly wait for whatever new videos you produce. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Nyx. Cassandra, I have not played Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet. I do not own the game. I've been playing Hades, but that's about the only Hellenic-themed game I actually have.
Fake pagan. That's how you know. Not enough Hellenic themed games. Wait. We found it.
So, as far as that goes, I think I've covered most of what I'm going to be covering for next year. You know, obviously, the coalition topics are decided sometimes several weeks in advance, sometimes closer to the time, so those will be announced as the show goes on. I've announced the topic for our return week, and I'm really excited about that. Jen is excited to get back to things, too. So I am looking forward to the coming year. I thank you guys so much. Some of you guys are OG fans, like from when I first started this channel, and it has been incredible. I went from being somebody that barely 50 to 100 people maybe knew existed to almost 1,700 subscribers in 6 months. That is insane levels of growth. You guys have been so freaking supportive. I've seen people sharing videos around in various places, and I thank you guys all so much for coming to live streams like this, for sharing my work around, for giving me constructive feedback, which I have taken a few times when I've gotten criticism, for being as both fiscally and like just fan-wise supportive as you've been, for building this incredible freaking community. For those of you who are on my Discord or even in the live chat, thank you all so freaking much. Like, I cannot express enough. When I split from the channel that shall not be named, I nearly left this community because I didn't think I had a voice that anyone wanted to hear. And Fire was one of the folks who helped convince me to stay, along with Ocean and Callan and Surus. And I'm beyond grateful for all of you. Because
God damn it, we're keeping you here if I have to super glue you to your desk chair.
Getting to see your guys' stories have been incredible. Like from you, Akeda, talking about coming out of anti-theism, to some of you that say that like my videos made it more accessible to you because you have problems with learning disabilities and stuff, to those of you who have shared your stories in the ADHD live stream, you know, and found some sort of identification there. Like, my work here has changed my life, and getting to see that positive ripple effect out in other people's lives has been like beyond my wildest dreams. I don't want to become some major figurehead per se, though I know that I am becoming a leader in a community, and I'm very proud of that. I feel the weight of that responsibility when I choose my channel topics. I feel that weight every single time I sit down to write a script, especially if it's on something controversial. Ask Fire how long it took me to narrow down both my script on magic and my script on orthodoxy, and how many drafts and iterations I went through on that.
I was getting spammed scripts like nothing else. It was beautiful.
Ask Ocean how many days it took us just to narrow down the definition of folkism when we tackled that. I know that what I do is causing change in the world, and I'm incredibly proud of that. I'm grateful for all of you. It has been both the best and the worst year in terms of that, and I'm thrilled, and I'm hoping that 2021 will be a much better experience for everybody, but at the very least, I know that I want to be as consistent as I possibly can. I want to keep bringing the highest quality content that I can to you. I want to make sure that I keep it fresh and interesting and well-researched. I want to learn and take classes and such and do better with my editing and such so that things will be entertaining. But most of all, I want to help keep building this community. Because, again, I'm not going to lock my community behind a paywall. If you want to help support the channel, you get access to a quieter chat where I'm more likely to respond a little more often. But that's about the biggest benefit. That, and you know that you might get a drawing for a chance of a video once a month that you get to pick the topic for. And you know that you're helping make this possible. Because y'all, like my patrons, keep the lights on here. And I recognize that. Variants, $50 super chat. May our years be productive. May our feet never know pain except what we wish. May our brow know only the sweat of our labor. May our hearts never break beyond what we can handle. And may a curse never leave our lips without cause. Incredibly generous $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Variants. I really appreciate your support. You were incredibly generous on my last stream as well and have been a massive contributor to the community as well as a pretty good friend. So thank you so much. Ikeda, another $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Almost like the gods are using you as a magnifying lens. I'm not going to assume that I'm that special. But for all of you,
you can feel free not to do that, but a lot of us here recognize that this is one of those experiences that, yes, everyone is involved in it, but it would not have happened without you. And I guess you're just gonna have to get over yourself. Because I'm gonna keep poking you about it.
Well, for all of you that are concerned, by the way, about the transition from the bridge to the coalition, I personally am still going to carry the torch of allyship between the atheist and pagan communities. I'm still going to fight for understanding in all of that. I'm still going to be willing to take on problems I see in the community, but my main focus is still going to be education and community building first and foremost. That is not going to change next year. If anything, I'm hoping next year we'll build that content library out to be even more useful so that if you need help on something and you don't have access to resources, you can come here and find an answer to at least get started until you can find your own path. I don't want to be the thought for someone else. I don't want to do the thinking for you, but I want to at least be a jumping off point where somebody who has never done this before, who feels a call from the Greek gods, can find their start, find their footing, and walk forward with confidence to find their own path. And I'm hoping to continue to build the allyship community and the community of like-minded folks across traditions, because if you're in my server, you'll know we've got more pagan channels than you can frickin' shake a stick at, and every so often more get added when people come in that want new traditions added to that section. So, like, I want to grow and learn and evolve with you guys, and I want to know you all to know that, like, there are some of you that have expressed that you feel like you've been changed by your exposure to this work that I have done, and I want you to know that the feeling is mutual. This community is incredible, and I feel like I've grown a lot as a human being just from helping run it and be a part of it, and I feel like that weight of responsibility has helped me become a better person myself. And I want to continue that. Like, I don't necessarily, like, I'm not going to promise you a temple or something like that, like certain other leaders in the community have. But what I will say is that I'm going to do my best to bring the high quality stuff that you guys want, to continue to push the message of allyship because I firmly believe in it, to continue to live by Stoic principles and the principle of justice in particular. And most of all, I want to make sure that what I do makes things more accessible for those of you who might not be able to get to it otherwise, because I don't think that learning should be locked behind a paywall. I don't think that recon should be something that you struggle with. I don't think that you should have to wade through 7 different intro to Hellenism books to find some spark of praxis and still end up having to buy hundreds of dollars worth of scholarly shit just to understand what it is you're reading. I don't think you should have to wade through blog post after blog post for as much of the fine work as the bloggers do to try to make sure that you can verify that what you're doing is historical. If you feel a call, I think you should be able to find that information fairly easily and access it even if you struggle with reading. And that's what I want to help with. So thank you guys so much for having been a part of that. And my commitment to you is that I'm going to do my best to continue that work into the new year, that my primary focus as always, is going to be education and making things more accessible. That as soon as my partner gets a new job again, you all will know, and that money will go straight back into getting resources to keep making that happen. And that I recognize that your contributions up until this point is the reason that it's been able to happen so far. And I thank you all for your support. Whether it's even just sharing a video or liking or commenting, you know, between that, it doesn't even have to be something like a super chat or Patreon to have helped this channel grow and change and become what it is. And every single one of you, I'm not being hyperbolic here. I've talked to enough of you that you know I'm not. Every single one of you has played a part in that to some degree or another. Even those of you that are new, even those of you who just clicked subscribe, you are now as much a part of that as some of the folks who have been here from the beginning. And I'm grateful for all of you. So cheers to 2021, sucking at the very least slightly less than 2020. I'm going to do my best to make it a little easier on all of y'all and to bring something interesting to you each and every week as consistently as I can and communicate well when I can't. Happy New Year, everybody. And remember, we're stronger together.
Hell yeah.